Takulandirani ku AMTV Malawi kuchimake kwa nkhani zenizeni. Ngati nkhani imeneyo kuno kulibe, dziwani kuti nkhani imeneyo ndi yabodza.
Macra is profit making, and Macra is on a very good financial position. The issue of appropriation into Connect a School is as a way of top up. Without the appropriation coming in, we have a commitment. We are going to construct and deliver the 193. But all we are saying is, can we double that in the next financial year? Can we triple that in the next financial year so that we fast track the rolling out of these ICT labs? That's why I use the word partnership. You should be rest assured, Honorable Chairperson, that with or without the appropriation coming in, the 193 ICT labs, those ones are going to be delivered. And the source of funding is from Macra and the Universal Service Fund. So Universal Service Fund is bringing in 70% of the funding. Macra is providing 30% of the funding. That being said, I think the issue of our request for appropriation, it must be somewhere stuck in admin processes, but we have the business plan and the request on paper, and we will make sure that through the appropriate committee, it comes through to the House. The issue on 3 billion, which is under major procurements, the 3 billion is only looking at the 5 digital offices that we want to extend. Now, allow me to give a background. We have moved our offices from Blantyre to Lilongwe. We used to be in a building in Jinari Corner. That building has now been vacated. We are now offloading through a disposal process of that building. We have occupied a new campus in Chichiri. In Chichiri, we have about 5 brand new buildings that belong to Macra, and our southern region operations are now taking place from Chichiri. We are now completing our eastern regional office in Mangoji, where we used to have Malawi Postal Corporation. There's a 3-story building there that Macra bought off Malawi Postal Corporation. The contractor will be handing over this month, and we should be launching our Eastern regional office shortly. We have opened up a northern region regional office in Zuzu, and we have operations there that are happening. So in as far as the administrative regional touch points, you see that Macra has physical investments and offices that are running. So now what we want to do is now to go further and start opening up these district digital service centers. So the 3 billion that we're talking about here is for that exercise and not any other investment. Which districts are these? Which 5 are these? So the 5, we're going to start with the border districts. We are looking at Karonga, Chinji, Sanje, and I think I've forgotten which other one. I think it's Mulanje. The reason why we're going into the border districts is because there is a lot of work that we're doing with MRA. So you see that on the technology and systems part, there is type approval, which is a top line that has been put there. That type approval is a platform that we are procuring that will run on top of another system. You may have noticed that MRA has started affixing stamps on soft drinks. The same thing has to happen on any digital device that comes into Malawi. So there is a common area of work between MRA and Macra, so that every device as it comes into Malawi, it must be cleared by tax, and Macra should affix a stamp on it, and Macra should record it. So those border districts are the ones that we want to pilot this kind of co-location between Macra and MRA. So the Mvera innovation part, the Mvera City part, you see that we have allocated 700 million, largely to do marketing and to do the initial development. The initial development that we're talking about is the perimeter gate at the entrance, as well as a site office where we can put in these people. We believe that in the next 12 months, that is enough work that will get us going, as well as the marketing effort. The marketing effort would want locals to fully understand what an opportunity this is, because now Macra is coming as an anchor tenant. Macra will require about 300 residential housing units. These have to be owned by someone. So that's why the Mvera Development Corporation Limited has been established to own the land and to become the landlord. And the people of Malawi can contribute in the construction of these housing units. Macra will come in and rent and occupy these housing units so that our staff can operate from there. In so doing, Macra has a place to operate from. The people of Malawi have an opportunity to own infrastructure and physical assets that have a fixed tenant in the form of Macra and other technical players that are coming in. So the actual cost of us rolling out Mvera Development Corporation is still being worked on, but what we have provided for in the next financial year is the marketing, the feasibility, and the initial developments that we need to do around that. In as far as our numbers are concerned, the 17.4 billion, this is basically administrative issues. These are salaries, the staff costs. We need to buy new vehicles. We need to buy printers. We need to buy computers. All of that is lumped in the 17.4 billion. When you look at our revenue streams versus our expenses, you see that we're still left with a positive balance. And as you rightly picked up, Honorable Chair, that we seem to be stuck on 13 billion. Largely is because of the heavy investments that we have made in the past 12 months in the areas of systems as well as infrastructure. But as I mentioned earlier on, Honorable Chairperson, that we have used the 13.1 as our worst case scenario. And I did mention that we see the data protection, operationalizing of the data protection as a key area which will help us to also fast track and bring us about new income and new revenue. Therefore, 13.1 billion profit in the financial year 25 to 26 is a worst case estimate. And we are praying and we are putting every effort to beat it. My personal gut feeling, if I was to be asked, I'm looking at 20 billion as our profit declaration in the next year. So that is what we are playing around with internally. But in as far as worst case scenario is concerned, 13.1 will be our dividend payout. The issue of MTL, that government of Malawi is going to buy out one of the shareholders, who is Press Corporation, and retain 100% ownership of MTL. As a regulator, we are aware of that transaction. As a regulator, at the appropriate time, would have to approve that transaction. It is in the regulation and it is in the license terms that if the license holder is changing, there's a process that has to be undertaken. From where we sit as a regulator, we see this as a positive move, because one, MTL forms a critical backbone of the infrastructure in this country. You take out MTL, we create a big problem in as far as connectivity and internet services are concerned in this country. Almost every major player, be it financial institutions or be it government, somewhere, somehow, they ride on top of the MTL backbone. Secondly, we have noted that there are a lot of sporadic and islands looking like investments that the government of Malawi has made. So you have water that is in a cup, you have water that has been put in a bucket, you also have water that has been put in a small cup, you also have water that is filling up in a bathtub. But all of this is water, regardless of the container in which the water is sitting in. So the government of Malawi has technology investments in MTL, it has technology investments in MDBNL, it has technology investments in ESCOM optic fiber, it has technology investments in the government-wide area network. All of these at the bare bottom what we call IP, Internet Protocol-based investments. So it does make financial sense and operational sense to bring all these little waters that are all over the place into one tab, so that now you can estimate exactly how much of water you have, and then you can decide whether you boil it, you're boiling all your water from one point. If you're freezing it, you're freezing all your water from one point. That would bring about some efficiency. That would also help us to lower down the cost of services, because you have a scenario where MTL is renting from ESCOM. And you also have a scenario where the government of Malawi is, government-wide area network is renting from ESCOM, is also renting from MTL. And yet all of these are owned by the same person, and yet all of these are doing the same thing. So in as far as creating a scalable and a sophisticated digital platform for this country, it is very essential that the government becomes a critical player in these digital affairs, because now the economy is becoming digital. The opportunities are becoming digital. And if there's government control and there's government participation, it will help us to deepen the level of digitalization, and it will help us to lower the cost of internet and other digital services in this country. I submit, Chairperson. Thank you.
That's clear. Yes. Mulanje South, Mangochi Masongola, Choro Tava.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. I'm on page 7. Technology and Systems, bullet number 4, the issue of SIM card registration. I just want to hear from Macra that what are you doing to address the concerns about high levels of mobile money and digital floods, despite implementing regulatory controls like SIM card registration? Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Chairperson, I just want to commend Macra. Over the years, they've worked so hard, and they've turned around Macra into an institution which is registering remarkable developments. And looking at the Vera Development Corporation, which they are trying to put up to accelerate issues of technology. This is a welcome development, and speaking as a member of media, we are very, very proud looking at all these issues. But just for the permit of the cluster, if Macra can arrange so that the cluster can go and appreciate this Vera site, so that we are all speaking with one voice. Thank you.
Okay, I think that one is similar to one coming in from the public. So I think I should just read it verbatim. What mechanisms has Macra put in place to ensure a smooth and effective SIM card re-registration process in Malawi? And they are asking that in your response, please highlight privacy concerns about the potential for state surveillance and misuse of personal information. Okay. Yeah, so Choro Tava.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. I apologize for being late. I had some pressing issues, but I've managed to go through the presentation. And I would like to thank the DG for a wonderful presentation. I've got 3 questions. My first question comes from page number 5 on key growth areas, and especially the Connect a School project. We were told that Macra is constructing connected school projects in our constituencies, and I'm reminded of certain schools who were asked to source quotations for various goods and services, but up to now, there is nothing on the ground. I have in mind Nyodola Community Day Secondary School. We were in phase 2, but up to now, nothing is moving. Secondly, is the issue regarding to human capital. We have some students at MUST. We are all aware that MUST is one of the best university in as far as ICT is concerned. But we have some students who cannot afford even a meal. I was there some 2 weeks ago, helping some students to give them some money for lunch. Do you have some funds in your corporate social responsibility that you can help those students through their endowment funds? Because these students are struggling, but I believe that one day Macra will benefit from those students. So I would like to hear more from you, DG. And lastly is the issue regarding to spy machine, if I'm not mistaken, but what I know is spy machine. I would like to find out if you have already purchased the machine or is in this budget. Are you going to procure from this budget? I'm asking from page 7 on major procurement plans. Have we already purchased it or this machine is in this budget? So I thank you. Those are my questions.
DG. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Let me start with the famous spy machine issue. For lack of a better term, I think everything technology that we have not either as a regulator properly explained or properly raised awareness, it has always been met with this term spy machine. In 2010, when Macra wanted to roll out the computer integrated regulatory monitoring system, which was called SIMS, there was a big uproar again that, hey, there's a spy machine that's being rolled out. I think we went to court for over 10 years, and the Supreme Court has ruled on what sort of surveillance and monitoring Macra can do according to the law. So there's a ruling on from the Supreme Court that says that Macra can run monitoring tools in the sector, but cannot run intrusive monitoring. So intrusive monitoring is where systems are able to go inside of gadgets and they're able to read contents of gadgets. That's intrusive. So one, the Supreme Court clearly said that Macra cannot do that. Secondly, the law, both the Electronic Transaction and Cybersecurity Act, as well as the as well as the Communications Act of 2016, both of them do not give Macra the powers to do intrusive monitoring, but they give powers to Macra to do monitoring. So in this case, we go back to 2.5 years ago. We restarted that process of putting in a revenue assurance system. And I'm glad to announce to you, Chair, that for over 1 year now, that which was called a spy machine 10 years ago is the platform that we are now running with Airtel and TNM. What we are able to do with the same platform is we are now able to know how much money Airtel has made per tower, per sale, at any point in time. What that helps us to do is being proactive in invoicing Airtel and TNM. Now, coming to the issue at hand about the misinformation and disinformation trend analysis tracker, which has also been coined a spy machine. We do not have the capacity to afford a machine that can do intrusive monitoring. Secondly, that technology, if it exists with very, very rich nations of this world. A nation like Malawi cannot afford to access any of that technology. And then thirdly, we are dealing with companies that are reputable, companies that are established, and companies that are public. And I don't think that there is a company out there that is ready to be associated with issues of espionage or issues of backdoor surveillance by a state in any part of the world. So the spy machine or the misinformation and disinformation trend analysis tracker was in the last budget and is not in the budget that we are going to. And as you are aware, we just recently conducted a due diligence visit where stakeholders from the ICT Association of Malawi, from Parliament, from the Media Committee, as well as from CSOs, as well as members of the media. We had journalists from Times and journalists from Zodiac that came with us to do a due diligence so that they could see, interrogate, and make their own conclusive positions of whether the machine does what we perceive it to do or it is doing what we sought out to obtain. And I'm glad, Honorable Chairperson, to report that all of these members that went, they had uninterrupted access to the vendor, uninterrupted access to the machine, and they've all come back to clear that we can proceed with the procurement process. So that procurement is still proceeding, and as we have promised at all times, that at any point in time that any stakeholder wants to come to Macra with their technical people or with their legal people to investigate and to look at the systems that we have, Honorable Chairperson, we are open at any point in time that we will be glad to host anyone to look at that. On the issues of corporate social responsibility and how we can reach out to help some needed students from technology universities, that, Honorable Chairperson, is bordering on an issue of policy. We have taken note of it, and we will escalate it to the authority, which is the board, so that the board can make a decision, and we should be able to come back with an update. As of now, I would not be in a position to conclusively give a position on that. Connect the school in phase 2. It is very correct, Honorable Chairperson, that we are behind schedule. By now, we should have delivered phase 1, the 75 in phase 1, and by now we should have been somewhere at around foundation level in the phase 2 schools. This, Honorable Chairperson, on behalf of the authority, I would like to apologize. It is not in our nature to miss deadlines, but there are just a few other issues that overran. But I am sure that in the next few weeks, you'll be able to see action and activities restarting. This week, we have a team in Salima that are doing evaluations for those quotations and bids that were submitted specifically for phase 2. So once we finalize that process, we will now proceed to award contracts, and we should start hitting the ground running. The re-registration of SIM cards, of course, yes, it is a huge undertaking because there are now about 15 million SIM cards on both Airtel and TNM. So we are going to do away with the registration of those and re-register them. It is a heavy undertaking. We don't want to inconvenience subscribers. We don't want to create panic, and we don't want to create an overhead on the mobile network operators. This is why, one, we started with reviewing the regulation so that we have proper regulation that speaks to what it is that we intend to achieve. Secondly, we have now resorted that we're going to have one connection to NRB that will be extended to the mobile network operators. From NRB, all we are doing is to request if indeed ID number X belongs to Mr. Suleman. NRB will respond with a yes or no. The exercise will not write any new data into the NRB database, but rather we want to use NRB as a single source of truth. Before this exercise, we have multiple sources of truth. So someone would bring a passport and be registered as Suleman Daudi, and someone would bring a driver's license and be registered as Daudi Suleman with an I at the end. And someone would bring their national NRB ID card and be registered as Daudi Elvin Suleman. These are three digital identities, but physically they are talking to the same person. That creates a problem. So we want to do away with any other form of identification and just use NRB as a single source of truth, so that when we go into the registration, when a card is registered under Daudi Suleman, we can pinpoint exactly which Daudi Suleman this is, because as I mentioned earlier on, Honorable Chairperson, we are dealing with digital identities of Malawians, and therefore we need to be exact about which Malawian this is. Does that open up a space for state surveillance? The answer is no. Basically, all we're doing is making good use of the NRB data so that we are now creating a solid and safe digital space. This will help us to reduce opportunities of mobile money fraud. As of now, you can walk down the streets and find a SIM card that has already been KYC'd, that's ready for sale. And you pay 500 kwacha, they give you a SIM card. You assume the identity of the person in whose name that SIM card was registered. Therefore, if you make phone calls or if you do whatever it is that you're doing online and digitally, it is that digital person that is conducting that business. It creates a lot of problems, it creates a lot of fear, and it also brings about a lot of digital issues that we can avoid. In other countries, Honorable Chairperson, for you to access a SIM card, it is a very rigorous process because the standards are very, very high, because they want only true people to access networks, only true people to be able to go into the networks and to run them. We have a problem with mobile money fraud because most of the perpetrators are in prison, Zomba prison, for instance. So in a space like this water bottle, Honorable Chairperson, you can fit in about 30 SIM cards. If those SIM cards get smuggled into the prison, that guy will assume 30 different identities. He's going to send SMSs as 30 different people. He's going to make calls as 30 different people. So we are acknowledging that we have a problem with our KYC database and our KYC data as is. But we have an opportunity that we can make good. Making good of that is, one, let's use NRB as a source of truth. Secondly, let us re-register to include the capturing of biometrics. Thirdly, let us also register handsets. We register SIM card, but we should also register handsets. As is, a handset is just roaming freely in the network. It is not connected to a live human being. So we would like handsets and SIM cards to be connected to NRB IDs. For the visit to the Mvera site, I think that one we can organize and we will arrange through your office, Honorable Chairperson. This is an undertaking that we're going to take, and we should be able to come back to you through the Secretariat. On mobile money fraud, as I mentioned, the re-registration of SIM cards is one of the major issues that we're doing. Secondly, we've implemented a system which is called the Central Equipment Identification Registry, SEIA. What the system does is that it reads all handsets that are running on Airtel and all handsets that are running on TNM. It brings all of that in one place. If there is a handset that was stolen in Tanzania and it is running on Airtel, the SEIA will be able to block it. If there's a handset which was stolen in South Africa and it is running on TNM, the SEIA will be able to block it. If there's a handset which is fake, which does not meet the minimum standards of ITEL or iPhone, but it is running on the network, the SEIA will block it. If there's a handset which was stolen in the UK, in London, and it comes into Malawi, the SEIA will block it. If someone's handset is stolen, and that handset was registered to a Daudi Suleman, and it's running on Airtel, and Mr. John Banda buys it and tries to connect it on a network in Malawi, that device will not work. If they take that device to Tanzania, it will not work. If they take that device to Zambia, it will not work. So in so doing, we are now raising the security around handsets and SIM cards, and therefore reducing the opportunity for these mobile money frauds. We are doing this in conjunction with the Reserve Bank of Malawi, the Financial Intelligence Authority, Bankers Association of Malawi, Malawi Prison Services, Airtel Money, TNM Mpamba. So we have a working group that is looking at a number of issues that we should work together. So these initiatives that I have mentioned, Honorable Chairperson, are initiatives that work group is undertaking collectively. I thank you very much. Those were the questions that were submitted to us. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. I think we have run out of budgetary questions as at now. And do you have any additional closing remarks?
Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, in our closing, we would like to thank you for the opportunity that you gave us, that you could hear from the authority on our plans for the financial year 2025-2026. But most importantly, Honorable Chairperson, is that Malawi is a very youthful nation. At an average age of 17 years, that shows that there are a lot of young guys that are coming into the fora, and these guys are already digital. These guys are already thinking about digital surfaces. You give a mobile phone to a 2-year-old these days, Honorable Chairperson, she'll be able to know how the YouTube icon looks like, and if there is need for a password, even though she can't talk, but she'll pass on the handset to you so that you punch in the password. That shows you the level of digital excitement and digital readiness this country is. At 36.9% penetration, we are doing better at a SADC level, but we have a lot more of our people that are outside the digital space. I am glad that the government has decided to remove duty on smart devices so that we can increase the number of these smart devices that are running. Out of the 15 million SIM cards, about 1 million of those SIM cards are in smartphones. About 14 million SIM cards are in Mosewaleros. We need those people to graduate so that they can now become more digital. The more we get our people into the digital surfaces, the more we improve the quality of life and the more we improve public service delivery, because in the digital space, issues of accountability and transparency are much, much easier for us to achieve. Therefore, as a youthful nation and as a nation that is looking at bouncing back its economy, the digital space is a space that we can take advantage of and really make quick wins and get some low-hanging fruits. So I thank you very much for the partnership that we have with your house, and we look forward to a more interesting and exciting 2025-2026 financial year. We submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think on our part, it's the CAS, the Connected School project, where we still have something that, as you said, between you and the committee may come up with a figure of how much government should partner into that one. But I think as the cluster is in general saying, we want to encourage you to implement that project with speed, with much more ease than you did last year. But thank you very much for presenting yourself to the house.
Osaiwala kupanga subscribe ku channel ya AMTV Malawi.